She wants me to do a copycat, y'all. No, not really. I'm just playing. But she really wants the heart. So we're going to do some hearts today. If you guys are struggling with getting people in the chair, I'm telling you, if you learn how to actually be able to replicate a style, it's a game changer. It put me on so fast with having so many clients, so many people back to back because they were able to get what they saw in the photo. You can always get as close as possible and just let them know like your hair density and head shape may change it just a tad, but you can get pretty darn close to what someone else had did. Now, don't get online copying and saying that you did, the original work. But having that photo is really good to set the expectations. So we are going to get her heart done today. And I'm going to switch it up a little bit because her hair is pretty thick. And when you're working with someone's hair that is really, really thick, you want to keep in mind with how much braiding hair that you're using as far as like the base, not the extending going down the braid, but making sure that the base, you're not putting too much hair because their hair is already about to complete the style pretty much. So that is what I am going to be doing. I'm going to take it back a bit on the braiding hair, but get her closer to the design. Her main thing, she really loves the hearts, so I want to make sure those are perfect. They are able to be seen and it's not, so far off from the original design. And you also want to make sure that, the edges and stuff is paid attention to when you guys are doing the hearts that are around the edges. So you see how much hair that we're working with, even with, nothing added right now. If you love natural hair and braids, I want to pour into you. I have created a community where we'll be able to go over all things that I know when it comes down to natural hair and braiding. I've been braiding for over 20 years and I have lots to share. So if that's something that you are interested in and you've been interested in classes, just support from me, period, that is where I will be doing that. So I hope to see you in there. Now, I like to braid up my pre-sections because it's easier than using a whole bunch of rubber bands. I use rubber bands when I need to, but otherwise, the braid way is a lot easier for me. So I just go through, do my stitches, and I try to do it where all of the areas that the braids will be a lot slimmer. I work with those first because I'm going to be connecting a lot of different braids here. So you always want to do those smaller ones when you're going to be connecting because you want to make sure when you're doing your larger ones, you can add those smaller ones in as you are braiding those larger braids down. So that is what I did first. I got those out the way. Now I'm going to tackle this one and it's going to add in that other braid. Now in this design, they had a pretty big heart. And since she has a lot of hair here to get that really big heart to stand out and not become too bulky in the back of the head, you want to crisscross them instead of connecting them. The original design, I believe it was connected towards the lower part of the heart, but instead of connecting, I am going to crisscross because her braids are already getting pretty thick and we don't even have any braiding hair added in for these two hearts. So yeah, that's a lot of hair. So now I'm going through and you can guys see more of me connecting going around it. I ended up deciding to do these second instead of doing them first because I didn't want to push the space that I had for the heart. You see how that braid kind of overlaps where the top of the heart is. And if I would have did this braid first, it would have kind of pushed my heart and it would have made my heart not look as defined. And the heart is the most important part to her. So I had to make sure that was done perfect first before I did the surrounding braids. So sometimes you got to kind of, see what works for you to make sure that you have the spacing that you need for your hands because I have some pretty big fingers. So it's kind of not as easy for me to manipulate that and make it work. But for other people, you want to make sure that you are finding different ways to try different stuff to make it work so you can get the style to come out as close as possible, but make sure that you are still able to feel comfortable while you're doing the style. If you guys haven't done different hearts in different areas of the head, I highly advise practicing on that because you'll find that some areas of hearts are easier for you to do than others. Let me know in the comments if you figured that out yet, because I love doing like the temple side hearts. Those come out very, very neat for me, very cute. But if I'm doing hearts like somewhere else on the head, I have to have the parting down pat. Otherwise, my heart to me looks kind of either too long, too wide, like something's wrong. I don't like it. But I'm picky when it comes down to my different styles. I want to make them look as close as possible. And as you see in this one, if I would have pulled that, I would have made the heart kind of look not so cute. So I made sure that I was able to braid out some before I started connecting to the rest of the hair. That way my heart still looks like a heart. It's not dragging on her edges and everything's still neat without the extra tension. So just braid a little extra tail and then, connect it to the other part of the braid instead of reaching for hair and pulling the braid all the way back. That's a lifesaver. You see how I didn't add any thick pieces of hair until I got all the way down to the end? You want to make sure you're adding different amounts of hair to make the braid look uniform. Because if you end up doing it where your braid is not uniform and you add too much hair at one time, you could have a thick part and a skinny part and a thick part and a skinny part, and it looks horrible. So always pay attention to that. It may not be the exact same size piece that you need for every part when you're doing your braids. When I'm finishing off any style, I like to go in with my hydrating spray and then I follow up with my oil. I just oil the scalp and then I go through with a foam, a shine spray. I tie them down and I let them sit under the dryer. So that way, as everything is molding into place, there's no frizz, no nothing, and they're going out of the place dry. And on top of that, it's neat and shiny how it needs to be. When doing buns, I wanna make sure that it's enough where it's full, but it's not so big that it's super bulky, that they can move around and it be comfortable. And also, I like sewing mine down so that way I can make sure that it doesn't come undone while they are moving around. Buns can come undone when it's a braided bun if it's not sewed down. So that's a great thing to do when you are securing your buns. And this is the finished look. Tell me what you think in the comments.